Hi everybody, welcome to Art to Go at OPC. I'm Paula, I'm glad you're joining us. Hopefully some of you are coming back to do some more fun creative things with us here through our OPC art department. Today we are going to be doing a really fun project, and I haven't even done a lot with this with decoupage, but I just found it so much fun and so relaxing. It's a decoupage vase in a Paris theme. And if you can see some of the samples we have here, we have a couple different kinds. They're done on a black vase, and it's kind of a shiny, nice vase. At the end, I'll talk about some different uses of how you could use this in your decor at home. But you're going to be taking different kinds of paper and found objects and attaching them to your vase using decoupage methods. This one that I have here is done kind of with some sepia tones and some black and white, kind of a combination. And this one is done in all blacks and whites using both pictures, laces, and so forth. I do want to give credit for this really fun project to Becky Compton. She's one of our Creation Station folks that comes and works here at OPC on a regular basis, and she came up with this fun idea at home. She wasn't able to make it to do the video, so I'm going to give you some of the techniques for her. But thanks, Becky. We really appreciate the time and effort you put into this. So in your to-go kit, after you've ordered it, you're going to find a number of different things. Of course, your plain black vase that we'll be working with. And then there's a couple little packets of found objects, all kinds of buttons and parts of jewelry, beads, etc. We also found some really fun doilies and old antique vintage napkins. And then you'll find two sets of pictures. One is in the sepia tones, the other is going to be in black and white, and they're stapled together. You can take them apart and use what you want. If you just want to do an all black and white one, you'll use one of the packets. If you want to combine, you can use both. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to put my finished vases aside, and again, we'll talk about some ways that you can use them in your home later. You're going to take your vase. We've already cleaned them all, so you shouldn't have to do anything with that. And then you are going to start trying to plan how you want to design putting your pieces onto the vase. Now remember, it's 3D, so it's going to go all the way around. You want to think of the whole thing, not just working on one side. So as you're working, you're going to be turning your vase and doing different things. I will not in this video be able to do the complete things. I'm going to show you some of the basics, and then you can continue and add as you are doing them. Okay, I have some scraps left of things that I had already used, so I'm gonna just use some of those things. But I found that it's really kind of fun to rip instead of cut everything, because it gives you just a more vintage looking edge. But it's totally up to you. The only things you will need to supply that are not in your kit are some sharp scissors, just a small pair, a ruler with a good straight edge. If you don't have a ruler at home, you could even just use a heavy piece of cardboard if you do want to do this ripping technique, and some tape. Can be any kind, scotch, masking, whatever you've got, because I think you're going to find that it's hard to work on this circular vase. What I did is I kind of taped some pieces on first and then did my Mod Podging. So those will be the only things you will need to provide. Before you begin, you might want to even think about something. Look at the pictures that are in your kit and then think, do I have anything I want to add? Maybe you went to Paris on a vacation, or you know someone that did, or I have actually pictures of my dad in Paris when he was in the war. Maybe you want to add something like that. So you could actually, probably best to take a picture maybe of your photo and then copy it using paper, as opposed to trying to attach your photo using the decoupage method, because I'm not sure those would stay. But you could do something like that. Maybe you have some special charms or an old watch face from your watch that you want to add on. We have pictures of them, but you might actually have something you want to add. So kind of look around in your junk drawers and stuff first, and then through a few pictures, and see if there's anything you want to add other than what we have provided in your kit. So the very first thing you're going to do is then to start cutting out a few pieces. Now, I'm using the ripping technique, and you can see it just gives a more rustic kind of edge. And you'll find even the way, the direction that you do this gives you sometimes more of a rough edge than not. Now, you may want to, and I thought I had scissors here, but I think maybe I'm not, so I think I'm gonna be ripping everything. But you can use your scissors, or you can just continue to hand rip around your shape. I just like the ripping. I think it looks just more natural. But you can cut for some things too. So you've got like a piece. You may want to pick a piece first that is kind of your central thing on each side. And then you are going to just take a little piece of tape and adhere it, just so you kind of have a starting point. You'll take this tape off when you Mod Podge, but for right now, you can see that that's kind of a starting point. Okay, I think I myself like the sepia in, but maybe some of you really enjoy just the black and white decor and you want to do yours all in black and white. So you use the kit then that has all the black and white. I also like the ripping, but again, if you don't like to rip, you can cut. I really don't know what I did with my scissors here, but so then as you're beginning, it's kind of hard to show you because I'm facing me and you're looking at the blank side, but I'll turn it around as I go here. Kind of just straighten it up. Now, if you like to keep things real straight, you can do that, but on the other hand, if you want to tip things, you can do that as well. It's totally up to your sense of design. But the main thing with the composition is that you want to have it looking good from all sides. You don't have to cover your entire vase. You can leave, as you can see, now I didn't leave a lot in the one I did. I think Becky left a little bit more in hers, but you can leave some black as you Mod Podge. We're using gloss Mod Podge, so it'll look just like the jar in the end. So that's totally up to you. You can leave big areas if you want, and then do some embellishing with found objects later too. So I'm going to, my other one I did more, everything was straight, so I think I'm gonna try on this one doing things a little bit on an angle. You can even, on some of the sheets, you'll find that there's a whole piece of writing. You can take off, just rip out a little piece of it. You don't have to use the entire piece that's in your packet. I'll show you one, for instance. I thought I'd get to it quicker here, but this one right here is kind of neat. It's got like old letter writing. I think it was a postcard or something. You don't have to use the entire thing. You can just cut out a little piece of it too, or use a good size piece of it and then use a bigger piece on the back. Whatever kind of attracts you. So I'm gonna again do my little taping, and all this tape again is going to come off in the end, but it just lets you kind of plan a design. So you can see we're getting going on putting some of our pieces in here. Now, you may even want to kind of plan a focal point. Like this one on this side, I think is going to be this great big label here, but maybe your bicycle is kind of your central part on the front or the back. Maybe a picture, there's all kinds of pictures of the Eiffel Tower. So maybe on the back I will rip out a large Eiffel Tower piece. You can experiment even on your paper with the ripping, because depending which direction you rip in, you get a different kind of an edge. And then I think I'm going to make this kind of as my central piece in the back. Maybe you have an old stamp even from letters that were written that you could attach. So again, you may have some things at home that you can use. Like, so I put this in the back here. And again, maybe I'll use some more of these labels. In my piece that I did, I took the little labels that I had in my kit and just did them back, like side to side, and made a little band through the center. You can do whatever you want. You can overlap things if you'd like to. They don't all have to be right next to each other. It's just when you go to decoupage, you're gonna do the underneath one first and then add the other. So I think you get the drift for putting in some of your photos, pictures. Now I like these little clock faces that we have. I think those are really cute. These I think I would cut out with the scissors. I think they'd be kind of hard to rip. But since I can't find my scissors here, I'm not gonna put one of those on. We actually, in some of our stash here at OPC, had a few little, I didn't have enough to put in every kit, but we had watches that had the clock faces, and that would be a really cool addition to add as one of your found objects to your vase as well. So if you have an old watch at home that you don't want, that's a possibility too. So I'm gonna kind of clear my workspace here, and then we're going to get into how we use the Mod Podge. Now in your kit, everyone has a little 2-ounce container of Mod Podge, and that should be more than enough for what you need to do this project. So what you want to do is just kind of shake up your Mod Podge a little bit. And again, you will have more of your design completed than I do. I honestly, when I did my first one, I didn't do everything right away. I didn't do the entire piece and then go to Mod Podge, because then I think you get too many layers of things and it's going to be hard for you to take them apart. I got my basics in, then I did a first step of Mod Podging, and then when that kind of started to dry, I went back and added in more paper things so that you're kind of doing this in steps. Okay, you do have in your kit a piece of butcher paper, which is good because you'll need that. This kind of gets a little bit messy. I'll try to move this out so maybe you can see this a little bit better. But what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take off the tape start with any piece you want, it doesn't really matter. And you have to work pretty quick with the Mod Podge, because I found I hadn't worked a lot with Mod Podge before, but it does dry rather quickly. So the 2 steps I think to doing this are getting it down on the back, getting it on your piece, and smoothing out any wrinkles. Okay, then you just let it dry, and it really does dry pretty quickly. The very last coat at the end takes a little bit longer to dry, but when you're just attaching each individual piece, it dries pretty quick. So you're just going to take your foam brush that's in your kit and just brush it on. You don't have to be real picky. I should move this in here, and then you're just gonna put it on your piece. Make sure you get it how you want it, like straight, or if you want it on an angle or whatever, but it dries fast. So don't think, oh, I'm gonna wait a minute or two and then I'm gonna adjust it, because sometimes you can't. It dries up really quickly. And then in the end, when everything's on your vase other than your found objects, then you Mod Podge over everything. So the top will have a coat of Mod Podge, but I'm not doing that now. Right now, I'm just worrying about getting the pieces that I have down adhered. So let's go with our next one. Again, taking off your tape. You can use any kind of tape if you just have masking tape or whatever. The Scotch is just kind of thin, so, and just do the back. You don't need a ton, just a nice even coat. And then, oops, I got it upside down. Yeah, you got to look at that, because like I said, it dries pretty quick. And I really thought there would be more wrinkles in this, but I don't know if it's just the Xerox paper we used, but it didn't seem to wrinkle that much. But again, just kind of smooth it out and be sure your wrinkles are out. If you get a little Mod Podge on your jar, don't worry about it, because you're going to be Mod Podging over the entire thing in the end, okay? So again, you're gonna take your brush, Dip in your Mod Podge. This is a little bit bigger piece, so again, work kind of quickly to get it all evenly on all your corners. If you didn't get every single corner, when you go to Mod Podge in the very end over the entire surface, it'll take care of any little corners that didn't quite get adhered. Now see, this is a little bigger piece, so in the bigger pieces is where I think you have to worry more about wrinkles. But again, kind of start from the center and smooth out. I think my sleeves are kind of big. Make sure it's straight pretty quick because it doesn't leave you a lot of ability to move it once it's down. So when you have a big piece like this, kind of get it on in the center and smooth out, okay? I think that's pretty straight. Okay, so now here's an example of I've layered a little bit in my pieces. I have this small piece over the top of the Eiffel Tower piece. So what I'm gonna do is do the underneath piece first. I'm gonna adhere that one first. And then the other one can just go over the top. I wish I could sit here and do the entire thing, but the video would get awfully long. So we're kind of gonna just do it to show you the different steps. Okay, so then this one, again, this piece is a little larger, so I'd kind of start from the center. Be sure it's kind of where, see, if you start putting all your edges down right away and then you try to move it, it's hard to move. So kind of work with just getting that center down and then smoothing out, smoothing out. I'll take this one off before it gets underneath there. Just making sure the wrinkles are all out. So then we have our Eiffel Tower in the back. And if something was a tiny bit crooked, you can add another piece. And as it flows along, I think it'll begin to straighten itself out, you know. Okay, so we're gonna put this one more piece on. Overlap. One piece can overlap over the other, and that is perfectly fine. I think I did it the wrong direction. I don't have my glasses. It's easier to work without them, and it's hard to read. Okay. And again, if you get a little on your jar, no worries. So you can see that one kind of overlaps over the other. So, not hard. I might get about as many pieces as I have on now, just your basic. Your key piece maybe in the front, in the back, couple side ones. And then if you don't want to continue with taping every single piece, you can just kind of hold one up and see where it looks good. Oh, I actually have one of these clocks already cut. So let's say now you have this much done. If you don't want to tape and you just want to kind of keep turning your jar and think, oh, okay, I kind of like this right here. And then keep your Mod Podge out and then keep adding. If you are going to do like 10 or 15 minutes of planning again and not Mod Podging, I would either wrap your brush in a little piece of plastic or I'd rinse it out and then reuse it, because like I said, the Mod Podge, I just found it dried really quickly and I'm afraid your brush would kind of harden up. So maybe Mod Podge in sections, wash your brush and then Mod Podge again. So then we've got our other piece here. So just continue adding, designing, deciding where you want things. Maybe you want to make a whole little border of tags along the bottom. You could do a border of clocks, whatever you want. So that's the basic process as far as the Mod Podge goes. Then once you have as much as you want with your pictures on your jar, you've added anything in that you really like, maybe a little photo or a stamp or something fun that you want to add in, then you're ready to start thinking about how you want to embellish your piece. Now, we do have, in your kit, there are some doilies and things. I'm not gonna show that process right now, but you could add in a little piece of doily, a little piece of, there's a fun little old-fashioned napkin in there. You could add a piece of that in, whatever you choose. Then there's also a piece of cording, and there is some beads in there as well. So maybe I really liked on my jar at the top, I just did a really simple border to kind of finish it off. Maybe you want to do that along the bottom. That's fine too, okay? You can put it wherever you want. And then I did a little embellishing with something here. I also provided a clip earring in everybody's pack. So maybe like this would be a really cute place just at the top here, just to put a little clip earring. It wouldn't necessarily hold it, but it just cover your seam. So I'm gonna take, at this point, we're kind of done with our Mod Podging, and this is where I'd rinse out my brush because I'm not gonna be using it for a while. And then thinking about where you want to put this. Maybe this time we'll do it on the bottom. But again, if you'd rather, I don't know, I kind of think it finishes off the top. So I'm gonna do it on the top. In your kit is a small container of E6000 glue, and it should be all that you need for your embellishments. I also provided a little popsicle stick in there because you might find it works good just to apply the glue. You can put it right onto the thing you're attaching, or you can put it on your vase. I think with this, I'm gonna just put it on here, right onto the vase, but you could put it onto the cording as well. Now the glue does drip out really easily, so I'd recap it when you're not using it. And then you wanna kinda decide where your seam's gonna be. Like I think I'll put mine on the side here. If you wanna fringe the edges, you can fringe them, like I did on my sample, but if you want to just keep it straight and put some kind of embellishment there, which I think that's what I'm gonna do this time, you could do that as well. And then you're just going to, now the E6000 glue does take a little bit of time to dry. Well, maybe it's not gonna work as well with, I think maybe we need to put it right on the, this is what I did the last time as opposed to, I thought I'd try something different this time, but I think I wore too long of sleeves today. I'm getting it in everything. So you gotta kind of hold. Like I said, the E6000 takes a little bit of time to dry, so you may have to do a little bit, I'm trying not to make my video take forever, but you may have to do a little holding as you're going along for it to stick. So I'm just gonna do a little holding, and pressing until it dries. I really am, I must have buried my scissors because I just don't seem to have them here. So anyway, I would snip this end here before I went much further. Let's just put it inside for now. But I didn't fringe this one this time. Put a little more glue right on the end. And again, your popsicle stick might come in handy for applying so it doesn't drizzle out too much. I'm just gonna stick that inside. I would snip that off, but. Okay, so it provides a little band. And then once everything dries up, maybe we want to take some kind of a little embellishment just to hide your seam there. As you can see here, just to hide your seam, okay? So, and again, if you don't like doing a band around there, you can just do your pictures all the way up to the top. This is totally up to you as far as how you design it. You are the artist, so you can design it however you want and however it appeals to you. Maybe, like, see, I'm not so much real glitzy, so all the pearls and that I like the pearls, but some of the real glitzy stuff doesn't attract me as much. But for a lot of people, that's glitz and glamour's really in. So, you know, you might want to add something like that. You could even just right here add, make a little tie and some glue and add a piece of pearls that hangs. Or you could take and put your pearls all along the bottom of the cord that you just put up there, so it just glams it up a little bit more. Maybe you want to take these and make a circle out of them and just keep winding and winding and then attach that. I mean, there's all kinds of things. You just be as creative as you can with the materials that we've given you. And it'd be really interesting to see too how many different things come up from this. So, all right, this is the basics. Now, in the video, it's hard to show you how to totally complete this. So once you have all of your paper on, and maybe you have just a few little areas of the black vase left, then you are ready to embellish, or I'm sorry, to Mod Podge your entire piece. So what you will do at that point is just take your Mod Podge like you did, putting it on the back side, and you're just going to basically brush over everything, including the areas of the jars that still is open. Like say you still have some black areas showing through. This is gloss Mod Podge, so it's gonna come out looking pretty much just like the vase. It appears milky when you're putting it on, but that will dry clear and shiny in the end. So you can see that you're just going to go over everything, okay? And then you're gonna have to let it dry. And I did find that because you're putting this on a little thicker than probably going on the back of the piece when you adhered it, that it did take probably maybe a half hour or so to dry. So at that point, you could just kind of clean up your work area and everything, put your stuff away, let it dry. And then when it's totally dry, you can think about adding some of the embellishments that we gave you, or embellishments that you have on hand at home. Be sure that it is totally dry though, because if it isn't, then if things are a little bit wet, your glue's probably not going to stick to that, okay? So give your entire piece some time to dry. If you even wanted, like I added this piece now to show you, but if you had Mod Podged everything and then saved this top area free, you could have even put this on after the Mod Podging process. But I don't think doing just this piece of cord is a problem, because you can just do your Mod Podge right up to the edge of it, and I don't think you should have any problems. You want to check as you glue stuff that it's, you know, it takes a little time with this E6000 to adhere. So be sure things aren't slipping. You know, you might need for the first 10-15 minutes just to make sure things are staying in place. Okay, when everything's totally dry, then you get the fun part of finding some embellishments. And I'll show you on the piece that, now our original piece, we didn't do any embellishments at all. And if that's what you would like to do, you don't need to do it. Becky's piece is just lovely with just the lace. She used a lot of lace in hers, or we have the napkins that we gave you, doilies. And if that's kind of the look you're going for, you may choose just to put 1 or 2 little embellishments on and not do so much. I kind of got into the embellishing, so that's up to you. I used buttons, just rows of buttons. We just gave you natural colors, whites and off-whites. We took the backs off of earrings and added things like that. I even added a little raffia into mine. So you're just gonna go around, you can layer buttons, like this one here is 1 button and then another button. So it's up to you, just be creative. So at this point, you're gonna kind of look through. I tried to put like a heart in everybody's and a little chevron thing, so you know, everybody had a few things at least to pick from. But at this point, you're going to just try to pick a piece or 2 that appeals to you. Like here's a watch face, this one here. But now what you're gonna find when you do the embellishments is you can't put them all on at once. You kind of gotta pick 1 or 2, let it dry, and then go back to it. So the first part of the project you can kind of continue along in, but when you are embellishing, because the glue doesn't hold, you know, it takes maybe half hour or so to set up, it might even take a little bit longer, that you're not gonna be able to embellish all at once. So what I might just do at this point is pick some things like, we did add a key to the front of yours. I didn't have enough of the skeleton keys, so we just used bronze keys, but maybe you wanna do a key on yours. Kind of decide where you think you like things to go, and then you're just gonna have to pick one side to start on, and then let it dry up a little, go back to it. So you're gonna probably need to leave this out on your work surface for a day or so to finish up your embellishing. Okay, so let's say that we're going to do, I'm gonna pick something out I kinda like here. I just like these plain pearls. I do really like that watch, but I almost hate to use it up so we can use it for somebody's project. I like that. I would say things that are flatter will work better because they're going to stay on a little bit better. Here's a button. So let's start with these, and then I'll show you a couple tricks for this. What you're going to do is you are going to need to lay your piece flat, and using your glue, you might even find at this point that you need to have like a tape dispenser or a little something, because it does tend to want to roll a little, just to hold it up. And then pick what you like where and start your embellishing. Now mine's still wet. You wouldn't do this while it's still wet, but I'm just gonna kind of show you. Put a little bit on. This has a little bit of a back to it. And then you do need to just hold the E6000 in place just a little bit for it to, you know, this one has a funny little back on it, so I don't think I'm gonna use that one. I think I'll use something flatter. And just hold it there. Now, if you were to stand this up, some of your pieces might start to move. So with the E6000 glue, you really do need to just leave it sit in place for a little bit. Let's say you were going to do, you know, as long as you're working in the same general area. I'm only gonna put on a couple embellishments right now, because if I try to do any more sides, the glue doesn't dry up fast enough and they're probably gonna slip. So just hold on to them for a minute or two till you kind of get them feeling set, and then you can walk away. And then maybe after a half hour or whatever, this might be something with the embellishment. I actually did mine over a day or two, so I just left it out, kind of had the embellishments I liked that worked together well, and then I added a little bit at a time, because like I said, the glue just doesn't dry up immediately. But this step is done after you Mod Podge the top of all of your paper that you've added, okay? Because you don't want to go Mod Podging over the top of your buttons and your keys or whatever embellishments you're putting on, okay? So the embellishments is the very last step that you're going to do. And again, that, like I said, that might take a little bit of time so that things can dry. And then once you've got that, you've got a beautiful vase to put in your decor. I'm going to show you some fun things with what you can do with these. Now, you could simply use these as a vase to put some floral in. Like I could really see Becky's with some pretty Queen Anne's lace or baby's breath or whatever. You actually could put real flowers in this because the vases are waterproof and everything. So if you want to put real in, the decoupage should collect your, or the Mod Podge should protect if you got any water or anything on it. I mean, I wouldn't immerse this in water, but I think if you want to put a little water in something, you could. Or just using some beautiful dried flower arrangements could look really, really pretty in it too. So think about something that kind of goes with your, even baby's breath, some pretty baby's breath, something like that would be beautiful in this. The other thing you could do that I thought would be really, really fun is to take, I don't know if any of you have these little candle plates, and you could just set one on the top and then put a candle on top, and you've got a candle holder. I think that would be just stunning. So there are all kinds of things. And if you don't want to put anything in it, you could do this, and maybe you have a little photo that you just want to add next to it, and just use this as a decorative vase. And because you've designed it and it's so pretty and creative, it's just going to hold its own in your decor in your home. So that's it in a nutshell. I think it's a fun project. I found it very relaxing just to, attach and design and that kind of thing. I think it gives you a lot of room to be creative and add your own touches to this. If you finish it up and you want to send us a photo, Marianne and I would love to see them. We could post some on Facebook, and the kits will be ready for you to call in. You do have to register for them, and then we'll give you a call back and have them ready curbside here for you. So enjoy being creative. It's really important during these times to stay connected to something you love doing, and please share with us some of the things you've done. Thanks very much, everybody.